Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Melchizedek Chronicles. My name is Kenny Williamson, your host, of course, and, I'm back. I'm back again with more bizarre conspiracy theories, if you will, if you want to call them that. This is your one-stop shop for everything that you can't get anywhere else. I mean, I don't know where you're going to hear all of this same stuff in one place other than right here. So, thanks for tuning in because, the world's crazy out there. I had a podcast just here the other day, and in that podcast, I discussed Joe Biden. I discussed the fact that I don't think it's the same man. That he's something demonic, devilish, something. I don't know what. And, I get a lot of pushback from people that, they think I'm insane. Okay. They don't have any discernment. They can't see with their own eyes. And even when they do look, they're fooled. They can't seem to see what I can see. And I'm not claiming I'm anything special. Okay, I can't see it because I'm, something special. The only reason I can see this stuff, is because I'm saved, and I've literally asked God for discernment to show me the truth. And I suggest you do the same thing. Get saved, ask God for discernment. And once that happens, you're not going to be near as easily fooled anymore. Okay? And like my shirt says here, this is one that I print, the truth is out there, okay? Now, whether you believe it or not, hey, that's up to you. There's a lot of things, let's see, how do I phrase that? It's easy, there's a lot of things that are very easy to understand, it's just very hard to believe. So, where are you at? Are you in the I don't believe anything phase? Are you in this particular instance, are you in the I believe there's no such thing as clones and there's no such thing as devils in disguise and masks? Do you believe that? Have you ever watched a Hollywood movie? There is lots of Hollywood movies. Hold on a second, I've got some interference going on here. There are lots of Hollywood movies that show the same thing. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. I had some kind of a buzzing sound going on. So that's usually how it goes. As soon as you want to talk about something that's, spiritual warfare or something, something always goes wrong. But anyway, so you've watched your Hollywood movies, okay? And they're actors in masks, and they've got these people looking old, they look young, they do all kinds of stuff. And, they film it, and it looks real. And so they stick an old figurehead Biden up there, who is a lefty lunatic that, he wants to do everything opposite of what any normal person would want. He wants to do everything opposite of what any Christian would want, that's for sure, any Bible-believing Christian. It's 180 degrees opposite. So he's this puppet figurehead stuck up there, and they're calling him Joe Biden. We know he's not Joe Biden. Okay, any fool can do a couple of simple things and figure that one out. But the reason I'm bringing this up again is because after I did this podcast, which lo and behold, Trump. He goes on Truth Social and he retweets this thing, and I'm going to show you a picture of it here so I'm not lying. Let's see here. By the way, that is another camera I have in here, and that is filmed over here in another direction, and that is a skeleton, a scientifically correct skeleton that I have here in the office, and he's called Bones is what I call him. So Bones is right there. There he is. Anyway. So take a look at this. Donald Trump says, okay, there is no Joe Biden. Executed in 2020. Biden clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Democrats don't know the difference. Okay, I mean, you see that, right? Soulless, mindless entity. Yeah. Devil. In other words, a devil. Demonic in nature. Let me put up another picture here. I mean, look at these two. Look at these two. No person that can actually see with their eyes can look at these two people and say they're the same people. Okay? You just can't do it. They're completely different people. Now, the one on the right is on the news all the time, and that's the one they show you, and that's the one they show you walking around with his wife and his son, and that's what they claim is real. You can clearly see that it's not. Can't you? Okay, and I've got another one here for you. Look at this one. I've shown you this one before, but look at the detached ear. Okay, the guy on the left, the real one, he has a detached earlobe. The guy on the right has a connected earlobe. Okay, let's hypothetically say the guy on the left had $1 million worth of plastic surgery done, which it didn't help him any if he did, but plastic surgeons do not sew your earlobes back on like that. That is not something they do. Okay, and the other thing is his chin's all messed up. And his chin looks really good in the right one here compared to what it really looks like. They've got him on camera talking, and his chin is completely deformed. They've either got it, I don't know. It's some kind of it's either a mask, clone, horribly done plastic surgery of some kind to try to alter somebody else to kind of look like the guy. He doesn't look like anything like the guy. They've got videos out there, and, you can Google and find them. Go to X. I mean, they're all over X. He comes out one time, and he's clearly 3 or 4 inches taller. He comes out another time, he's shorter. I mean, the guy, I mean, I'm sure, Trump, I'm not saying Trump is right on everything, but the guy's probably dead. Who executed him and why, I don't know. And, if the guy's been executed and, I don't know why they have a clone running around of him. Just leave the guy alone, kill him and forget him, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it. But, they've got these clones out there, supposedly. I don't know. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to show you another one here. Here's another one. They're side by side. The one on the left is clearly real. The one on the right is clearly a different person. They've got a different shaped head. They've got different ears and the messed up chin. Now, if you're going to have a bunch of plastic surgery done, I don't know why they'd mess with the chin. The guy on the left, the bottom of his chin looks just fine. His chin looks just fine. There's no point in messing with his chin. So, I mean, let's see here. Yeah. I've said before, there's something weird going on. It's not just with him. There's several others, and we've talked about that too. But this one, it just kind of floored me the other day that I said it. I did a podcast about it, and lo and behold, Trump comes out and I'm going to say confirms it. Of course, I read some of the stuff on him, all the comments, and they're like, "Oh, he needs to be put in a straitjacket. He's insane." This just proves that Trump has lost his mind. Really? I mean, look again. That is not the same person. I mean, it doesn't matter what the fake news says. It doesn't matter what Hollywood says. Okay? Use some discernment to see that you're being played. It's a puppet, and you're being played. All right, one of the other ones I noticed here a while back, I was talking about the chin. His chin's kind of messed up. Well, here is a picture of his chin again when he was talking. Now, see how it's got like a weird dimple in the middle, really big? Thing is, when he does a little more talking and leans over a little bit, then you can really see it. Okay? Let me show you that picture. Look at that. He has two, I'm going to say what you would call nodules on either side of his chin with nothing in the middle. Okay? Now, I don't know what that is, but you can see his face, his mouth, everything is all weird looking. You know, it's all stretched out. And I guess somebody could say, oh man, he had plastic surgery done. Yeah, plastic surgery. Well, nobody's ever claimed that he did plastic surgery. He's never claimed it. They've never said, oh, he had a facelift done. But, you know, if your chin looks just fine and you have a facelift done, why do you have these two huge nodules? I mean, what is that? There's something weird, really weird about the whole deal. But, you know, we're dealing with a demonic system. And here's what made me think about this the other day. Let's say that he was taken out in 2020, like Trump says. He's been unalived, as they say. Okay? He's been wiped off, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's say that really happened, and these powers that be did it. Okay, well, you've still got Hunter Biden running around. So my theory on this is, think about this. You've got old Hunter. Okay, you've all seen the stuff he's done. You know, he's drug addict, paying for prostitutes, taking pictures of him running around naked. He's got inappropriate pictures with him with really underage girls. You know, there's pictures of him, you know, with his meth, I guess is what he was doing, or whatever he was doing. I think it was a meth pipe, or there's some others. I think it's cocaine, all kinds of drugs. Okay. And, you know, then his teeth's all rotted out. You know, he shows pictures of his teeth, and he shows pictures after he gets back from the dentist. I mean, the guy, and then if you listen to some of the conversations he's had, he sounds like he's not all there, probably the drugs. But can you imagine, let's say he is the real Hunter Biden, and I think he probably is, he looks like him. Can you imagine waking up one day and they're like, oh, by the way, we had to take your dad out because of this reason or that reason. He's gone. Maybe he died of natural causes. But they're like, look, but we've got to keep this charade going. We've got to get a figurehead puppet up here. And we're going to use this name or whatever reason they did this. Why, I don't know, because I think the guy's a blooming idiot and always has been. But, you know, the thing is, it's like, okay, we're going to use him. So either he died of natural causes and they replaced him, or they took him out and they replaced him. But can you imagine being the son, if this is the real son alive, and knowing that the government has enough power to take somebody out and then replace them with some kind of a cheap, demonic-looking, mindless, soulless, cheap, you know, imitation. The thing they're sticking up there on stage, you know, I mean, come on, Hollywood. Can't you do a little better than that? I'm watching movies from the 90s, and the fakeness looks better than that clown. You know, you've got a clown up there that can't even speak. He can't speak. He can't walk. He can't do a sentence. He just rambles on and stutters. And could you have not done something a little better than that? I mean, stick somebody up there with, of course, I say with a brain, but then I think here's probably the problem. You get somebody that's normal, that can think, they're not going to do it. They're going to be like, you ain't putting no plastic surgery on my face and turning me into a freak and sticking me up there and then using me as a fall guy and then retiring me and then probably offing me before I can tell the truth. There ain't no way. There ain't no way I'm doing that. So they're going to have to use somebody that's already about half brain dead, in other words. You know, so that's how they got away with it with the scientists I was talking about, you know. Somebody who can't speak and can't move, So you can just say they said anything, and all they do is just sit there. You know, that's the perfect puppet. That's the perfect patsy. You know, get somebody that can't think for themselves or is completely brain dead, like this thing they have up there. You know, they're calling Joe Biden. But can you imagine if they either, you know, got rid of the first one or it, you know, passed away naturally? Don't know. Either way, you're the son. And you know that this thing that's running around out there, this abomination, is not your father. But you have to pretend it's your father. Okay? You want that money coming in? You pretend it's your father. You know, do you want to keep the name and have the money rolling in and all the above, and, you know, all the stuff they found on your laptop and all this stuff you've done with illegally with guns? Do you want all that kind of, you know, swept under the rug? Well, then you better pretend that's your dad up there. Okay? Pretend. We all know it's not. Excuse me. Anybody with any eyes can see it's not. But you better pretend it is. And this other thing up here, I don't know if it's Jill or not. You know, I've seen some earlier pictures of her, and it doesn't look like the same either. So I don't know if she's been replaced too. I don't know. But if it was the real one, then she has to go along with it too. So you want the money? Do you want to be this? You want that? You want to keep all your stuff? Then you pretend that's the real guy sitting there. Obviously, you can see his mask bubbling up in the back, and there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't add up. Nobody's skin does what they're doing. So there's some kind of fake prosthetics on somebody. And if it was the real deal, why would you need it? So, you know, you can clearly see the thing's fake. So, but can you imagine having to go along with that? What that could do up here, knowing that your father possibly is no longer alive, and you have to pretend that this thing, this abomination, is your dad. It's no wonder he does drugs. I mean, it's no wonder he's mental. You know, it's no wonder he spends all his money on hookers and cocaine and methamphetamines and films himself doing it. You know, it's no wonder. Okay? I mean, can you imagine having to live with that? Live with the guilt and the lies? That's what these guys are doing. That's why they always fall apart. That's why all these Hollywood movie stars, they do the same thing. They're having to worship the devil. They're having to drink and eat stuff that you can't even imagine, and I've seen them talk about it. I mean, they go to these parties and they have to, you know, drink human excrement, okay, as part of their humiliation deal. That's what they have to do. And, you know, it's come out recently with the Diddy stuff. You know, they're having to do that kind of stuff. Just filthy, disgusting stuff that no normal person would ever do in a million years. But they do it to keep their names in the paper, to keep their names on TV, to keep their songs on the radio, you know, to become an A-list actor and stay in all the movies and get all the big movie roles. That's the kind of stuff they're doing. They're worshiping the devil. Okay? That's what they do. They're pretty much open about it now. It used to be kind of hidden, and people would say, "Oh, that's ridiculous. They don't worship the devil. You're an insane lunatic for saying it." Oh, no. No, they come right out and say it now. Now they're like, "Oh, thank Lucifer for this. Satan, oh, hail Satan." That's all they do. I mean, they literally put it out there for you. And, you know, I had a podcast. Of course, it wasn't a very good one probably because the audio wasn't very good. But, you know, it's like they have to tell you what they're doing. So I have videos and have watched tons of videos where every one of them are A-list, okay? Like, you know, The Rock. He's doing a skit. And in the middle of the skit, you know, on Saturday Night Live, he's talking about something. Of course, has nothing to do with anything satanic. And in the middle of the thing, he's like, blah, 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 hail Satan, blah, blah, blah. You know, he says, hail Satan right in the middle of it. Has nothing to do with what he's talking about. He has to say it. It's like, you will worship your master on TV. Say it. And they do. and it's one after another. I watched another one where, Nicki Minaj, she's talking and she's on an interview, like some kind of a podcast. And, she's got a song and I can't remember the name of the song, but one of the verses says, "Some call me Nicki, some call me Roman." Okay, whatever the song is. And, she's being interviewed, and she says, "Oh yeah, Roman, that's a real person. That's an entity that comes into my body, takes possession over me, and it's the thing that knows how to do all the dances or whatever. It's the thing that knows how to do the singing. This entity, which calls itself Roman, it comes into me and makes all this stuff happen because I can't do all that stuff on my own. It's what knows how to do it all." That's called demonic devil possession. Okay? That's being possessed by the devil, more or less. A demon. You've got devils in you. And they openly admit it. And people just think it's funny. They applaud it. But that's what's going on in that realm over there. So, they've got people dressed up, probably clones, obviously. They've got them in masks. They've got cheap lookalikes that aren't even in masks, and I think this is one of them. It's kind of like the scientist in the wheelchair, and of course I can't remember his name. I always forget when I'm trying to think of something. Stephen Hawking. Same thing. Same exact thing. I mean, the guy dies because he's got ALS, and they replace him with a very cheap clone. I mean, it really doesn't even look anything like the guy. But, they just scrub all the pictures. If you go and you Google his name, you'll get the pictures of the new one. You can't hardly find any pictures of the old one. And people that have saved this stuff from 10, 15, 20 years back, they've got pictures of the original. And they're not the same people. But see, if you go search this stuff out now, you'll never find the original pictures. Now, you might on X, maybe. But you're not going to find them. So you have to dig. You have to really dig to find these things. And then when you compare the original picture to the abomination they stick on the TV now, it's not the same person. Okay. And they're doing it. They're doing it all the time. And obviously it's happened again. I mean, I could tell you that a long time ago. In fact, I believed it. That's why I did a podcast. But like I said, now we've got Trump saying it. So I believe it. I mean, I don't need Trump to believe it. I've already believed it. And, now that it's kind of hitting mainstream, it should be like, that explains why why his son, Hunter Biden, that explains why he's off his rocker. I mean, if he's the real one, he's having to live with this, knowing they're all fake. And like I said, it makes you fall apart. I've seen it time and time again, these actors, they get on stage and start talking about what's really going on, and all of a sudden they get escorted off stage, and then they're in a mental hospital. And then, they have to shave their heads and all kinds of stuff, and they get reprogrammed. It's like, hey, you cannot tell the truth. You say what we say. And then they kind of, disappear for a while, and they're supposedly insane, and then they come back, and it's one after another doing this stuff. It's not just one. It's a bunch. So, and some of them completely lose their programming altogether and start talking, and then they disappear, or they're gone. They're no longer on TV anymore. But I did a podcast with a guy a long time ago, before I ever did video. But he had the videos of all these different people. I mean, all these singers and, just A-list people. They were being interviewed at different points in time. And these are not interviews that you can just find. You've got to really dig to find these old interviews from people. And they're probably on VHS, and people have had to copy them digital. They're that old. And, they're talking about it, and these singers and everything, they start talking about the devil, and, they put their head down. They're like, well, you gotta make a deal with the devil if you want to get where I'm at. And I had to do it too. And, you have to worship the devil. They all tell you the same thing. So, if you're like young and listening to this podcast, and you have these different actors, actresses, football players, country music singers, rock singers, if you're putting them up on a pedestal because you think they're really something special, they're not. They're not. 99% of every one of them are devil worshipers. Okay? They don't worship the God in heaven. Okay? They don't worship Jesus Christ. They will never mention the name Jesus Christ unless it's negative, unless they're using it as a cuss word or using it as something filthy. They will never say anything about God, unless they're using God's name in vain. Oh, then they will. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But what they will do is they will talk about worshiping the devil on the side. They'll talk about, demonic presences coming into their houses and taking advantage of them and coming into their bodies and making them do and say things. They'll talk about making deals with the devil to keep their popularity. In other words, they're going to burn in hell. Okay, these people are not role models. Now, the news, the TV, oh yeah, they're going to paint them as role models. I mean, the news, the fake news, yeah, they're going to tell you there's something special. They're going to tell you that they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're not. They're actually nobodies. And if you're a saved Christian, one of these days you're going to be sitting up there in heaven, okay, with your new eternal body, living forever. And, one of these days you're going to see these people show up to the white throne judgment, okay? And you're going to see your favorite actress or actor show up. They never got saved. To keep their status, they had to worship the devil, so they got thrown in hell. But they're going to get to state their case at that white throne judgment. And it says that we, Christians, are going to be judges. We're going to get to judge angels even. So I have a feeling we're all going to be sitting around watching, and they're going to get to show up, and you're going to recognize them. And you're going to be like, hey, that was such and such. Man, they sure were a good actor. Weren't saved. We're a terrible person. Led a lot of people astray. A lot of people went to hell because of that person. Because they followed them. Did what they did what they said. And now they're all in hell too. So I wonder what their judgment's going to be when they stand before the throne at the white throne judgment. What do you think? They already went to hell, and they've been picked up out of hell and stuck at the white throne judgment. What do you think? Do you think they're going to make it through? Do you think they're going to have enough excuses to get into heaven, or do you think they're going to be cast into the lake of fire like the Bible says they are? They're going to be cast into the lake of fire, because the first thing they're going to do is say, you did. They're going to open the books. That's what the Bible says. They are going to open those books, and everything you've ever done, said, thought is written down in those books. So you didn't get away with it. Okay? Just know that. If you're sneaking around doing something at night, just because no man saw you doesn't mean God didn't see you. He's got watchers. The Bible calls them watchers. Okay? You're being watched. Every move you make. There's a reason why a lot of these angels described in the Bible are full of eyes. They've got eyes all over them because they're watching you. Okay? They know what you're doing, even under the covers. Okay? In your bedroom with the light turned off, they know what you're doing. They know what you're seeing on your computer. They know it all. And it's all going to be in those books. If you're not saved, it will all be recorded down in those books. And when you show up to that judgment, like the Bible says, God is no respecter of persons. Okay? And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain to you what that means. No respecter of persons means it doesn't matter if you were an A-list actor. Okay? It doesn't matter if you were a president of the United States. It doesn't matter what you were here on earth. It doesn't matter if you were the richest man ever lived. When you stand before that judgment seat, that white throne judgment, that nobody cares. Nobody cares how much money you had when you were alive. Nobody cares what your position is. God's not going to say, oh, well, he deserves to go to hell, but I really like those movies he was in. Come on in. I love that movie. Come on in. Or I sure love those country songs you sang. Give him a free pass. No. Now, that part is unimportant. What you did, who you were. He's no respecter of persons. So you're not getting his respect because you had a hit single when you were alive, okay? You ain't getting God's respect. You're not getting God's respect because you were a filthy Hollywood actor and a pedophile, but you were in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 movies, with your picture on every cover of every magazine. That ain't going to work. So you better think about that. The only thing getting you through those heavenly doors is the blood of Jesus Christ and you accepting the Son, Jesus Christ, as your personal Savior. That's how you get there. And I promise you, these guys, these Hollywood actors and these people that are, out here right now doing stuff that's just unbelievable. And I'm going to do some more podcasts on that. I've got a podcast coming up on Soylent Green, or however you pronounce it, Soylent Green, maybe. I've got a podcast coming up on that. It's a movie from the 70s people think's a joke. It's gaining traction that it's probably not really a joke. Okay? These people that are out there now, these government, all this stuff, they are spraying stuff, they are poisoning people. It's all about population control. That's what they want. They want depopulation. And they're doing it by tricking people into taking medicine that they don't need. They're doing it by spraying stuff on you and in the air and in the water, and have been doing it. And, supposedly some of these new people we have in our new regime we have running the country, they're supposedly going to get rid of some of this stuff. Very little of it's disappeared, just like the fluoride in the water, poison. But when you go to the dentist, they're gonna push that fluoride on you. They want to fluoride your teeth. They want to fluoride this. They want to do that. They want you to drink it. They want you to swallow it. They want you to inhale it. And come to find out, it's deadly poison. That's okay. Take it. Drink it. We don't want you to live much longer, so why don't you just drink it? So, they try to get it out of the water. People fight it. The governments fight it. They want it in there. And they start saying, well, you're going to have cavities if you don't have it. Well, what about your brain rotting out? What about your pineal gland shriveling up? Well, that's what we want. We want that to shrivel up. That way you're easy to control and you're compliant. We wouldn't want you to have a mind of your own. So here, drink this poison. Your brain will rot out, but your teeth will be a little whiter. Not going to help you any. Unless, you just really love white teeth. But I don't even know that it does that. Supposedly fights cavities. Really? Most of the stuff that they tell you is fake. So if they tell you one thing, it's this just goes on and on. This is a rabbit hole that's never ending. And I'm going to do more on them because we've got Soylent Green coming up. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. So like I said, if you want your one-stop shop for every kind of conspiracy theory, everything that you can imagine, come on back. Come on back and listen to it right here because we're going to have it all. Everything. So most people think that we're crazy. They think that I'm crazy. And, if you want to call it that, I'm trying to live in the world but not be of the world, and that's very hard to do. Okay? That's very hard to do. And nobody wants to hear truth. Nobody wants to hear the truth because truth hurts. Most people are just like, hey, whatever. I got to go to work and pay my bills. I don't care. They don't care about any of that stuff. But there are people who actually want to know what's going on and have enough, discernment to figure it out. And they're not the ones that are easily fooled. It takes a little bit more to fool somebody who, is paying attention, who's saved. Takes a little bit more. But anyway, so having said all that, I'm going to end this podcast. I'm going to try to make these a little shorter, some of them. This one's a little shorter, but I just thought I had to bring it out again. Hey, here we go with Biden again, back in the news. What do you think? Do you think it's the real deal, or do you think he's a clone? I mean, I've got where on this thing will be on YouTube and Spotify. Please, if you're on Spotify and you're listening to this, make a comment. I respond to the comments and other people respond to the comments. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. And it's okay if it differs from mine. It's okay. I may be wrong. There's a chance. I don't think so, but, hey, maybe I am. So please go to the comments and tell me what you think. And also, if you're on Spotify and you're listening to this on Spotify, there's a little deal down there where you can rate the podcast like a 1 or a 5 star. Please go rate it. Even if you don't like this podcast and you think, well, it's a 1, put a 1 on there. Because the more people that rate it, the more other people can find it. And if people can find the podcast, got my interference coming back again. If people can find the podcast, then obviously they can listen to it. And, the algorithms will put it up on a search if somebody will rate it. So even if you don't like it, just rate it at 1. If you like it, rate it at 5 or whatever. But that would actually help it out. And, of course, there's also a link on there if you want to support the show. You don't have to. It's all free. You can click on that, and it's $1.99 a month. So basically $2 a month. I've got a couple of subscribers. I'm not doing this for the money, clearly, okay? The money that I have made off this stuff won't pay for a fraction of what I have into it and what I have going into it. I have a full-time job, and I just do this in the evenings and weekends. So, I pay for everything myself. Everything's free. But if you want to support it, please do. But even if you don't want to support it, just go at least rate it. And at least put a comment down. If you're thinking, if you liked it or didn't like it or disagree or don't agree or whatever, just write it down in the comments so we can all see it and talk about it. Because what I like to do is actually take all those comments and then do a podcast talking and answering everybody's comments. So, but I've got to have a few built up to do that, and right now I've only got a few more. I did one here the other day, and, I answered probably 15, 20, 30 of them, whatever. But I need another 15 or 20 or 30 good comments so I can do another podcast on them. So please go like it, share it, rate it, comment on it. Have any questions? I look at all the comments. I get notifications every day from Spotify creators saying, hey, you got a comment. Go check it out. Please go check it out. If you like it, whatever. Also, if you have any ideas of stuff you want to hear me talk about or investigate or interview, let me know. You can email me too. You can get in touch with me through either one of the websites. It's flatbro.com, truthseekersministry.org. You can email me at truthseekers2012@gmail.com or comment. Comment on the Spotify or the YouTube. I will get it. I'll reply. And that's about it. That is just about it. So, any comments, questions, concerns, let me know. Hey, thanks for listening. I appreciate the opportunity. And I keep looking away. I'm looking at my timer down here because this music's on a timer. I've got to reset it. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.